Hi, my name is Joseph Parker, WBO champion of the world, and you're watching Sporting Icons.
The WBO World Heavyweight Champion, Joseph Parker, has spoken to ESPN and said that a deal between himself and the Super WBA, IBF and IBO World Champion, Anthony Joshua, looks to be very, very close now. And this is what Joseph Parker had to say to ESPN. Negotiations are going good. I think we're close to locking something in. They're stuck at 30%. We're stuck at 35%. So it's just finding the middle ground. We'll take 35%, which means Joshua will take 65%, which is nearly double me. So I think that's a fair deal. He's the bigger draw card. He has 2 belts. I have 1. I think that's a reasonable and fair offer. I think we're very close. I'm excited, and it's a chance to showcase my skills in the UK some more. So that was Joseph Parker's statement. And for most fans, you could pretty much argue, for the sake of 5%, one of them guys either just accept the other one to have the 5%, or just split it right down the middle. So 32.5%. We'll see anyway. But it's an interesting fight. Who wins this one? Most people would be picking Anthony Joshua by the overwhelming favourite in this one. For me personally, while I do edge towards Joshua in this one, as I've said time and time again, Joseph Parker is one hell of a nut to crack. We've seen him in fights where he's been getting hit when he shouldn't have been getting hit, and they're by big punches, and he took those punches and keeps coming forward. It's like he says, he's throwing the hashtag out quite a bit lately, as in hashtag never been dropped. And as far as we can tell, that's exactly right, especially in the pros. He has never even been dropped. There's nothing of evidence to say he was dropped as an amateur. Sparring, obviously we don't know, but there's no rumours out there that he has been dropped. We've seen him come through with perforated eardrums, and yet he's carried on and won the fight, and all kinds of stuff. So he's one tough guy. So anybody who writes him off against Joshua, you'll be sadly shocked if he was to pull out what you may consider an upset. For me, it wouldn't be an upset. I'll be a little bit shocked, because I think Joshua is a little bit better. And I don't mean that disrespectfully. I mean that the fact that he's been in there with the likes of Vladimir Klitschko. Now, Joseph Parker, you could argue, has a better resume even than Joshua, with the fact that he has been in there with a very, very awkward, underrated Hughie Fury. Not many fighters can hang in there and beat Hughie Fury, especially when Hughie is running and throwing long punches out. Obviously, he's beat Carlos Takam. Joshua did beat Takam more convincingly, but of course, again, you could argue that Joseph Parker fought Takam when Takam had a full training camp, whereas he didn't have a full training camp against Joshua, even though he knew there was a possibility that if Pulev pulled out, that fight could well be happening. But at the same time there, Parker also had a full training camp to prepare for Takam. Joshua didn't. So again, you could argue that. And of course, he has been in there with Andy Ruiz Jr. He's the only guy to have beaten Andy Ruiz Jr. While Ruiz does look out of shape, and he is out of shape, but he's very, very fast, very tough. And Joe did get through that one. He scraped through it, but still he got the win. And that's the only thing that's really important. It's like Dillian White says, it's better to have an ugly win than a pretty loss. And Joseph Parker will always do enough to get the win. His knockout ratio isn't that great as of late, but he is a big knockout artist. And if he catches Joshua clean, then it could well be good night. He does have a very, very good power shot. Don't let those last couple of fights put you off, or fool you even. These two were supposed to have been fighting a little while ago, right before Joe won the WBO title against Andy Ruiz, because he was an IBF mandatory. So these guys were meant to be fighting, or they were talking about it, whereas Joshua was going to fight, I believe it was Molina, and then I think Joseph Parker was talking about fighting David Price on the undercard. Ultimately, them two then come together for the big fight. Or it may have been around about the Dominic Brazil time, so I may have the timescale a little bit off here. Now, these two do have a bit of history, like I said, so these guys have been talking about it for quite a while. Their careers have been running alongside each other, so they started not too far apart. And as far as the amount of fights that they've had, again, it's very, very close. So these two are prospects coming up together. and it's always been inevitable that these two would fight at some point. And as of right now, they both have an O, so one of these O's have to go. As to who does it, very, very hard to say, but like I said, for me, I would edge towards Anthony Joshua, but I wouldn't be at all surprised if Joseph Parker was to do it, and that's me trying to be neutral in this one. Obviously, I'm British, so I have to root with Joshua as much as I do like Parker. But interesting, though. So he's saying exactly what we pretty much already knew. Team Joshua saying 30, they're saying 35. For us as fans, we're like, well, Joshua, just give him the damn 5%. You've already earned a crap load of money. What is 5% to you at the end of the day? Again, we could say, well, Joe, what's 5%? You either want this fight or you don't. That 30% is 5, 6, 7, maybe 10 times more money than you've ever made in your career. So that 5%, why it may accumulate to $1 million or $2 million, we don't know. If it's that much of an issue, hey, I'll quite happily take this 5% off you. Or if you want, just give it to charity. If you're really bickering over it that much, if Parker is adamant he ain't going below 35 and AJ is adamant he ain't going above 30, then Parker and Wilder, if you're really unhappy with AJ's offer and you're not going to get a better offer anywhere else, so just go fight each other for 50-50. That's just my answer to it. But anyway, that's what Joseph Parker's saying right now. You drop me your thoughts below, click that thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll catch you all in the next video.